December 23rd, 2023 is the date. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Figure 4 podcast. My name is Doug. Donald and I are belt nerds and have been collecting for a couple of years. That's what this week's show is going to be about. Our experiences, what we learned in our experience collecting. Just going to pass on some info over to you guys. Hope you guys enjoy the show. So, you've got how many belts again?
Six or seven.
You've got 7.
Currently at 7. Yeah. You have a lot more than I do.
I've got like 14 with a 15th on the way. But it literally is an addiction, and people don't understand that. I thought I was done after my 3rd belt, and I'm not. Yeah, but you know what? It can be expensive. It's goddamn well expensive. But I still remember my first belt was Winged Eagle from a maker. He goes by F Club VK. He's an excellent maker. I've got a couple of belts by him, but that Winged Eagle was my first one. I remember I held it and I didn't put it down, I think, for 2 weeks straight. And you kept saying, God, I want one. God, I want one. You didn't have the greatest luck when it came to getting a Winged Eagle.
No, I didn't. I'm happy with the one that I have now. There's a few things that I would maybe change up with the belt and the experience itself, but yeah, I mean, you've had a few Winged Eagles now that have come and gone. You've sold, I don't know how many that you've come in contact with, and then ended up it's just not right, and you shipped it off.
Yeah, pretty much. It was like, well, you always find something that's a little better, right? And that's the thing in this hobby. You're never going to find perfection the first time. You're just not. What's your favorite belt that you have right now?
It's probably because I'm still in the honeymoon phase with it. It's my NXT North American Championship.
That is gorgeous. I didn't think that main plate was so big.
It's massive, man. It's massive.
It's huge.
I think what I like most about it is that, like, some people, like, for anyone that's interested, if you're on Facebook and you want to join a belt page, Royal Belts, Muhammad Luckman, he does amazing work. That's who made my NXT North American title. I gave him the specs as to what I wanted in terms of the leather cut, and some people have come back and said, well, it's not right. Well, me personally, I'm not a fan of the really thick, like the really wide strap that was on the belt that Dominic had.
No, I wasn't either.
I mean, it's wide in the middle because the plate is huge, but I like it tapering off nice and like down to like a normal strap, just like a standardized, maybe 3.5, 4 inches. And the leather detail on that is just amazing. He knocked it out of the park. I couldn't be happier. It's not HD. It is dual plated. It's not HD. It's not CNC. It's standard def.
Jeez, it looks fantastic though.
It really does.
Clean, and so clean.
The plates are amazing. He did a fantastic job with it. Next to that would probably be my current Winged Eagle that I have. That was done by Hamar Championships, I think it was.
Yeah.
That one, I went the extra step. I got it CNC. I got it 24 karat gold plated. On upgraded leather, and it's not dual plated, it's just straight gold, and it's nice. It's a super nice belt. I wasn't too impressed with the process of it.
No. You got dicked around a little bit.
Yeah, and I mean, I kind of felt bad because, like, you had recommended this guy to me, and I saw the work that he did on yours. It was fantastic. And then, like, this was over the summer when I was in Halifax for my surgery, and he's like, he would send me pictures. It's we're in this phase, and then we're in this phase, and then 2 months go by, and I'm like, hey, what's the update on this? He's like, oh, well, I had to send it back to be replated because it wasn't right. I wanted it to be right for you. And I'm like, you told me 2 weeks ago that it was shipping.
Yeah.
Like, in the end, I mean, It took a lot longer. I think it did. The whole process ended up taking
It was like 4 months, 4.5 months,
four,
wasn't it?
4.5, yeah, maybe 5 months. And he said that he could knock it out in 6 weeks. And I'm like,
Yeah. And I knew
okay,
as soon as he said that, I had told you, I said, if he's saying 6 weeks, give him 3 months, give him 3 months.
yeah.
Because he did
And,
the same thing on my belts too.
like, again, the work was nice. The CNC is amazing. The etching on it is, it's fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
But I just wasn't happy with how the process went. Um, but yeah, that would probably end up being my second favorite in my collection right now.
Since we're on that note, let's, I mean, anybody that's listening this, like, I'm going to post this on the different belt pages and stuff like that. A lot of guys have been doing this a lot longer than us and have a bigger collection than us. But even for guys that are just getting in to the hobby, here's just a couple of hints or a couple of tricks to live by. Always, always, always ask if you're in a belt group like myself personally. I'm in Big Boys belts. I'm in X-Men belts. I'm in a F Club belts. I'm in a few championship belts. Always ask about a maker. If a maker reaches out to you and says, "Hey, I can do this," blah 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 blah, reach out to the group and get opinions. Because I had one bad experience with one bad maker, and I didn't reach out to anybody. I just saw his work, and for the price he was charging, it was Mayan T. Muhammad or something was his name, and I wanted the national heavyweight championship. And he said he could have this knocked out for me in a month. Sure. Awesome. Okay. So I sent him half the money. That's number two. You never send full dollar amount. Never, never, never send full dollar amount. And never send, when you're dealing with a brand new maker, unless it's someone you deal with all the time, never send friends and family. Always use goods and services. So I sent him half the money. He said it was ready to ship. Perfect. I sent him the other half. 3.5 months later, I finally got the belt after I called him out and called him a scammer on every belt group that I was in. I finally got my belt after 3 months. That guy, I don't know how he's still in belt groups and able to sell. That's the only maker I could honestly say stay away from. And I've talked to a lot of belt makers. There's 3 that I deal with that I know are really good. And there's really good ones that I haven't dealt with that I'd love to maybe down the road. They just have a good reputation. But Mayan T. Muhammad, oh, that was a goddamn nightmare. And that's like every day calling him out. Straight for a month solid when I just had enough of his excuses. I ship, bro. I'll ship, bro. I'm honest, bro. I'll ship, bro. Until I finally, then his inbox started filling up. Turns out I wasn't just the only one. There were a lot of people waiting for their belts from this guy.
Right.
But yeah, just a couple of little hints. Always find out from whatever group you're in. Ask about a maker. Someone will know something, or a lot of people will. Never pay full price up front. And always, never, unless, like I said, unless you've dealt with this maker a million times, never send friends and family when you're first getting to know a maker. Always go goods and service.
Agreed.
The best guys I've dealt with, Muhammad Royal Belts, Muhammad Lukman is awesome. Big Boys Belts is one of the best belt groups out there. Nick always has raffles on the go. And yes, people actually do win because I've won a raffle in that group. There's a lot of groups, they have raffles. Oh, so-and-so won. But you never see a picture of them with the belt. Or they just never get the belt. Nick and Chris Stratton and EJ Kelly is one of the moderators, and they're awesome guys. Always on the lookout for friggin' scammers. They keep it drama free. It's not like Brothers of the Belt. I left that group 6 months ago because it's just toxic. I don't know. That group is just the scammers. Well, the scammers in any group are bad the last while. Probably, I would say the last 4 months, the scamming or attempted scamming has been getting bad. But Brothers of the Belt, it's like the whole community has just gone toxic and poison, and the scammers are coming out of the woodwork. And it's just, I had enough. I left. Like, I just
Yep.
couldn't handle it anymore. And it sucked because I loved showing my belts off on there. Like, I love showing my belts off anywhere. It's just, I couldn't take the drama anymore. You don't see
Yeah.
that in X-Men belts. You don't see that in Big Boys belts. I'm still fairly new to championship belts, and I'm in an NWA group. Just it's not a belt group. It's just a group. But
Right.
I haven't seen any drama in those groups. But brothers, oh God,
That was one of the first groups that you would recommend it. You're like, if you're thinking about getting back, like, well, if you're thinking about getting into the hobby, join the group, see what everybody has. So, like, maybe somebody has something for sale. And like you said, always make sure that you're doing a reference check, posted public. Hey, does anybody know about this person that's selling something, or this maker, or whatever?
yeah,
Um, like you said, far too many times, like, if you just go into a deal blindly, you're gonna get screwed. But Brothers was one of the first groups that you had recommended to me, and I joined. And I got to say, the last couple of belts that I had bought, and I shared pictures of it of the belts that I ended up getting, whether it was winning it through a Raz, or buying outright, or having it made. You know, there was a lot of negative comments on there. It's like,
yeah,
well, why didn't you get this upgrade? Why didn't you go HD or CNC on this? It's like, well, this is what I can afford.
exactly.
It got too much. And when I got that NXT North American title and I shared it, like, I'm proud of that belt, man. It was the first one that I know of that Muhammad had made for Royal Belts. I went through all of his photos. There was not a single photo of the NXT North American title.
That's
So
dedication because he's got thousands of photos.
I know, and like, for this to be, I want to say, probably the first that he'd ever done. I thought he knocked it out of the park, and I'm proud as hell to have it.
He did.
And there was just too many negative comments about it. It's like, what is that atrocity? And it's like, I had enough. I left the group.
Yeah,
I had enough. Um, a little plug for Royal Belts as well as Royal Brass. I've got a couple of, like, Muhammad runs both sites, and Tyson Terrio. Just a heads up, he's an admin on Royal Brass. Awesome guy to deal with. Uh, he posts razzes all the time. Super nice guy. I've got a couple of Royal Brass belts, and you'd swear to God that they were zinc. Like, you can't really tell the difference.
yeah,
The etching is amazing. Um, most actually, pretty much every belt that I have in my collection, with the exception of my Winged Eagle, is through Royal Belts.
yeah.
Um,
I've got most of them. I think most of my collection is Royal belts. I've got a few from F Club VK, and I've got a couple from X-Men. Like,
yep,
when I saw Nick, one of the administrators in Big Boys belts and X-Men belts, when I saw his dual plated 5-plate US title, I
yep,
just lost my mind, because I'd never seen that belt dual plated. I had always just seen the gold back in the day on WCW, in
yep,
WCW. Man, I was, and then I won a raffle, and I was like, I am paying the extra money for that dual plating. And man,
yep.
I'm so happy I did.
That is a nice belt.
That's
That is a
an,
nice
that,
friggin' belt.
that's another thing too. Anyone that's new to the group, everyone has their preferences, whether it's brass or zinc or whatever. Personally, I prefer zinc. But if there's a maker, and do your due diligence and find out about them. But if you ask for 4 millimeter, make sure it's 4 millimeter. There are makers out there that claim they're selling 4 millimeter belts, and you can tell just by the pictures that they put out, they're paper thin.
Yep,
If they're 2 millimeter, they're lucky.
yep,
So that's another thing to watch out to. Always ask for pictures. And as far as guys selling belts in groups, and again, I'll keep going back to Big Boys belts. They do such a good job of taking care of the members.
yep,
New members that are selling belts have to do what they call coin it, which means put down a piece of paper, your name, your date, put it beside the belt, until people get to know you.
Yep.
Like members that have been there a while and are always active in the group don't really have to do that, but new members
It's a
do,
good
and they
it's a
will.
good way of vetting them. It's a
Yes,
good way of vetting them.
just to at least prove that you have said belt.
Yep.
And there are other members like, and you can see when everyone became a member of that group, say Big Boys Belts. There was a guy on there yesterday or today, I can't remember. I'm selling my belt collection. He became a member the day before. This is his first post, and he's selling all of his belts, not coin on anything. That's a guaranteed scammer every single time, and they'll get booted. What I love about not so much Chris. Chris is kind of quiet, but Nick and EJ love having fun with these scammers. You know what? Join Big Boy Belts just for EJ to go into that persona. Twist Steel. You got to see his promos with his belts, man. They're things of friggin' legend. You want to talk about a guy that's like not a wrestler but can cut a hell of a promo? It's awesome. But even when he's not just doing it, it's just doing fun. He's just having fun, right? Loves his belts
Yep.
the same as us. But you got to see him when he's out there and he's shooting from the heart. Like I've seen a couple of his shoots where he's pissed off at scammers and he's just like letting loose on the video, and you can tell, man, that's coming right from his heart. Because we all work hard for our money. We all love this
Yep.
hobby. We all love belts, and there's nothing worse than some dickhead coming in and taking your money.
Yep.
And unfortunately, I mean, as good a job as Big Boys Belts does, every now and then a scammer will sneak in. You're not going to stop everyone. But man, they filter out a good 85, 90% of them. And even the
They
guys
do.
that do get by, they catch them eventually.
Eventually they do. And I haven't, I mean, I'm a member of Big Boys Belts. I haven't really had a whole lot of interactions with the members there. I haven't bought anything from them yet. Um, like you share a bunch of stuff that Chris is normally selling. Like I still want to get my hands on a US title, NWA US title at some point. Can't really do it right now. It's the holidays. Well, it's a little tight.
Oh, it's a
Um,
little tight right there, yeah.
so at some point, I'll have a little bit more interaction. But I anytime that I see Nick or someone posting in there about, like this person's a scammer, this person's a scammer, like man, they put them on blast.
And you got to.
Like
You have to.
you have to, you have to. And you already commended them, and I got to second voice that, man. Like they're looking out for everybody in the group,
Yes.
and it's not necessarily, you know, people just saying this is what I have for sale. Like these guys will go around to all the various groups on Facebook and Instagram, and they'll steal pictures. People will comment, "Hey, you posted this for sale. That's my belt."
Oh yeah, it's
Like
it's happened to me too. Someone has stolen
it,
pictures of my 10 pounds of gold that I got from X-Men. I'm like,
yeah.
that's my belt. That's my
You
picture.
you you lit them up, man. I remember watching that thread just blow up.
Oh yeah, just and again, anyone that's new to the hobby or thinking about getting into the hobby or just loves hanging out and doesn't even collect belts, but they love belts and are just members of the group or thinking about getting into it, you just got to be careful. Like best guys in the world to talk to are Nick, Chris, and EJ. They'll
Yep.
never steer you in the wrong direction, and they're always cool. Like if you got questions, they'll always get back to you and they explain everything cool. Like I'll tell you how good Nick and Chris are with X-Men. It was a couple of months ago, and I had won in a raffle. I'd won that 10 pounds of gold.
Yep.
And for an extra, I think it was $100, I had it layered instead of just a regular belt. And the day that came in, I looked at it, put it over my shoulder, strapped it on, and it's been on display ever since. Never took it down since. I took it off the wall a couple of months ago, and I was just kind of cleaning it up, and I noticed where it says wrestling or champion or whatever it is, one of the bars underneath the globe was loose. I was like, huh. And then up on the like on one of the side plates, I think it was Australia, because again it's layered. Where the name of the country was, that bar was loose and wiggling. I was like, Jesus, what happened to this? So I took some pictures and I sent it to Chris. And I said, I just noticed this. Now, this was a year after I'd won I won the belt in the raffle. This was a year after. And I said, how do I fix this? So, because it's one of my favorite belts. And they had suggested using some JB weld with like a toothpick or something and get under there, but like have a rag or a cloth or whatever close to, because you don't want that getting on the plates. And
Right.
just kind of like try to hold it down until it bonded and or weighted. But I had some I don't even know what you call it, like spring loaded clamps that I used, and they were long enough. I just put a little bit of paper towel on each claw so it wouldn't ruin the plating or whatever, and it fixed
Right.
it fixed it perfectly. But they felt bad about it, and they offered me like 4 or 5 spots in the next raffle for free
Oh,
a
that's
year
awesome.
later, which I totally didn't expect. I just wanted to know how to fix it. That was all.
Yeah.
But that's how good they are, right? Like they just want to
Yeah.
make everyone happy, and they're not scammers. And they're just good guys overall. So if you're looking for a good group that'll never steer you wrong, X-Men Belts, who has really upped his game as far as belt making in the last year and a half, has really upped his game. Big Boy Belts is an awesome group. F Club VK makes these really, really good quality work. Royal Belts, amazing work. And another cool dude that I'd love to have on this show down the road, go to Mendoza Crafts, Antonio Mendoza. He does amazing leather work. He's a super good dude. He runs Raz's on his site too. Super, super good guy. Honest as the day is long. Another guy that knows a lot about belts and will never steer you wrong. It's just, with this, it just sucks so bad that in this hobby, guys just want to like show off their belts, whether he paid $100 for it on eBay or he paid $1,000 to have a maker make it. It just sucks in this hobby that there are, number one, scammers, and number two, there are guys that are just poison and say, well, I collect nothing but the best that looks like shit. Just can't be happy for you
Yeah.
that you're proud of your belt. But again, those are guys, you know what? That's easy enough. There's a block button on Facebook. That's really simple to use. I've used it
Yep.
more than once. It's just shitty though, because I love this hobby and I love collecting belts. My wife hates it, obviously, because it's expensive. But it just sucks. But there's more good guys in this hobby than there are douchebags. Put it to you like that.
There are. There are. I mean, there's
Go ahead.
there's a reason that there's a reason that you know that that there's groups like this on Facebook and other social media sites, because there's people that are fans of the hobby. There's people that are, fans of sports entertainment. You see someone winning a title on Monday Night Raw, or I don't really watch a whole lot of it. AEW. I'm not a fan of their belts,
No,
but
I'm not either. I'm not either.
but you know what? You watch an episode of AEW, and there's fans in the crowd that have those belts.
Yeah.
They're proud of what they've got,
And so they should be.
and
They paid good hard money for it.
absolutely. I'm not a fan of the Roman Reigns World Heavyweight title, however many names you want to throw on it, universal, custom made, whatever.
Yeah. And
But
see, I am a fan of that gold one, not the blue and the red one, but that gold one he's got now. I do. But it's not like you come out me and tell me I'm stupid because I think I like that belt better than the other belts. To each their own,
Exactly.
right? Like, but
Exactly. Like, I'll go back to it. My NXT North American title. I fucking love that thing. And there's some people that would be like, why the hell would you get that made?
yeah,
Like, personal preference. That's what it comes down to.
exactly.
If you like the Intercontinental title that Gunter has now compared to what Honky had back in the day,
Yeah,
or the Bret Hart or Mr. Perfect style. There's been variations of each of those Intercontinental titles. It's all about personal preference. That's what it comes down to.
that's right. So, belt upkeep. I used to just use, I knew to always use ammonia free Windex. And then
Yep.
just soft microfiber cloth, just wipe it and stuff. But I saw a video that actually Nick, one of the admins off of Big Boy Belts, had, and he had put he uses a little bit of water with just a touch of dish soap, a soft toothbrush, not a medium or a hard one. It's got to be soft, and he scrubs that and goes all over that with the soapy water with the toothbrush, and then he rinses it off and then goes over it again with just the clean water to try to loosen up that soap. Then he wipes it all down pretty good, nice and dry. And then he goes over it with, gives it a spray with a little bit of ammonia-free Windex. And man, I got to say, I haven't done it to mine yet with the soap and the water. I've just used the ammonia-free Windex, which I actually had to get Nick to ship to me because you can't buy it in Canada. At least I can't find it. So that was the most expensive bottle of Windex that I ever bought. But man, what a job it does. Because you don't want to use anything, and a lot of other guys too, like they'll use car wax. And it gives your belt a wicked shine. It'll make it shine, but over time, it's eating away at that plating. And eventually it'll just ruin your belt. So what about you? What do you do right now for upkeep on your belts?
Well, for me, I mean, it's a constant struggle in terms of dusting because all my belts are in my office, which is also where the cat litter is,
Yeah.
where we have our litter boxes. So there's constantly dust in the air. Um, I what I normally do, I've got like it's not a Swiffer, it's just like a duster with like fuzzy extended arms. I don't even know the name of it. Um, I wipe them down almost daily.
Yeah.
Like their front plates facing out, I'll take them out, wipe them down, dust them off, dust off the shelf and stuff like that. In terms of deep cleaning, now with the exception of my Winged Eagle, all of my belts are SD. So it's like, there's no real super deep etching.
Yeah.
When it comes to the Winged Eagle, when I first got it seemed like there was like a little bit of grime in some of the corners of some of the deep etching. I tried a Q-tip and just some water, like distilled water. But I found I just couldn't get into the corners.
Yeah. That's what I found
Like
with the Q-tips too.
yeah, yeah. So what I started doing is basically taking like a model paintbrush and cutting the bristles. Like normally the bristles are like almost a half inch long on them. So I cut that down to about half its size. So it makes them a little more brisk,
Yeah.
but like it's not anything that's going to scratch your plates or anything like that. And so I've been kind of using that to get into the corners with a little bit of water, and it loosens up stuff. Like dust is going to accumulate on these
Yes.
over time, whether it's in a room with like I said with litter boxes, or if it's just sitting on a shelf in like your man cave or your dining room or wherever.
Yeah.
Dust is going to accumulate on them. So that's what I've been using on my Winged Eagle. It seems to be working. It's keeping the corners clean and keeping the crap out of the corners. So
I've noticed especially on my CNC Winged Eagle,
yeah,
I've noticed in almost every corner, there's it. I'll call it film, maybe because I couldn't get in there and from all like the spray that I have used before I got the
yep,
ammonia-free Windex that I
yep,
haven't been able to get in there. So I am going to I know I've got a couple of soft toothbrushes, and now that we're on Christmas vacation, I will sit down and that'll be my first experiment with the soap, the water, and the soft brush
yep.
because I saw the way Nick, and it's not like you're pushing hard with the
No,
toothbrush or the paintbrush you're using. You're just going over it and let the bristles do the work. It's just
yep.
gravity. You're just the motor moving it. But yeah, mine need a deep. I haven't given them a deep cleaning in a long time. Well, and they need it because I have a couple of pops and I walk around the house. I'm pretty sure Adrian thinks I'm half cracked. I have a few drinks and I walk around the house with a leather strap and metal on. And I hold it the entire time. If I'm not wearing it, I hold it the entire
Yep.
time. I've seen her just give me a look every now and then, but hey, whatever.
What do you do in terms of leather upkeep? Like, do you do anything special with that or
You know what? I've never actually. You can get leather cleaner, specific leather cleaner.
right?
You can get conditioning stuff for it. I never have. I've just used, like, if I'm using a spray, I'll put just a light touch on the leather,
Right.
and then I'll just wipe it down. But for the most part, I leave the leather as is. It's just the plates I try to keep clean.
Right.
But I'm constantly, it could be the loosest, floppiest thing in the world, and it's not still not floppy enough for me. I
Yep.
want it like super floppy.
Like ring used.
Yeah, yeah, like beyond ring used, like John Bobbitt flopping in the wind. That's what that you just can't make it floppy enough for me. But no, as far as leather upkeep, I just wipe it. Just a quick wipe with whatever is damp, whatever cloth I have that I was
Right.
trying to clean my plates with.
Right.
Do you have you ever used any leather conditioner or leather cleaner on yours?
On my first winged eagle, um, I was advised to use just a little bit of vegetable oil on the leather, like kind of rub it in a little bit, but then wipe it off right away,
I
just
guess
so it's not.
it would give it a good shine too, I guess.
It gave it a good shine, and I found it kind of softened it up a little bit too, a
It
little bit
did.
more. Now keep it. That's the belt that I had when you were home this summer.
Yeah.
Um, Now, like pretty much all of my SD belts, like I've just gone with the SD leather. I haven't gone with the upgraded leather. The last couple that I've bought, I have gone with upgraded leather, and I used that on my Winged Eagle, and I tried it once on my Intercontinental. My Intercontinental is an SD plate as well as SD leather,
Right.
so just standard.
Yeah.
And like I found with the Intercontinental, I had to work the leather in a little bit, and by working it in, like kind of flexing it, bending it a little bit.
Yeah.
Anyone that
Yeah.
anyone that's listening in for the first time, or if they're curious about what that means, just basically like working it in. Just take the strap and just kind of bend it, and just keep bending it and bending it. Um, I used a little bit of vegetable oil on the strap, like just on the front. I didn't put any on the back, and it it seemed to work. It does. You don't have to soak it. Just basically like a either a microfiber cloth or just a little bit of paper towel, just a dab, rub it in, and then just wipe it off as quick as you can, and it's super soft.
Now, did it work in like a little bit, or you could notice a big difference after a few times with it,
I
like
found
with the oil?
I found it actually, like, you could tell a big difference.
Oh,
Like
okay.
comparing that to my winged eagle, like it's even floppier and softer than my winged eagle, and that's upgraded leather.
Wow. Okay.
So again, like you don't have to completely like sog it down with oil, just a little dab, and just work it in, and just work that leather, wipe it off, and a couple treatments like that, and it's it's holding up.
Okay. So you had a question that you wanted to put out. Whoops, breaking the table. You had a question that you wanted to put out. What was it?
So I'm going to pose this to you. I'm going to pose this to the listeners. They can comment, they can send in whatever they want. If there was a belt that you currently don't have, if you have a collection, or if you're looking to just get into the hobby, what would be that belt that you currently don't have that you could have tomorrow if you could be granted one wish?
Wow. Um, what belt?
I know you got a lot of them, and one of your crown jewels is that big crumb rind.
You know what? There you go. Speaking of that, if I had the chance, because there is still one more that I want to get, and it's the shop rhine.
Yep.
I want the shop rhine. So yeah, if I'm answering that, for me, it would be the shop rhine. That's if I could have my wish right now, I want the shop rhine so I could hang it side by side with my crumb rind that Royal Belts made me, which was fantastic, by the way. What about you?
That thing is amazing.
What's yours?
Mine, now, okay, keep in mind, and I have voiced my opinion on this to you through text messages a number of times ever since they debuted it, and Seth Rollins currently has it. It's a world heavyweight title. My original thought was, if you're going to make a belt that is going to replicate the original Big Gold, just come out with the big gold.
Yeah.
Bring that back. Even if you got to slap a WWE logo on it, which I wasn't a fan of at the time.
Yeah.
But I have to say, over time, it's grown on me. So I would have to say it would be the current world heavyweight title that Seth Rollins has. And whether it's going to be through a belt maker or if I go through shop WWE, I mean it's gonna put a pretty big dent on my credit card, but either way, but that would probably be the one that like that is it. Like that.
That'll be your crown jewel type thing. And that's going to pretty much do it, guys, for this show. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We are belt nerds. We hope you guys are too. And we hope you're going to show up for the next episode of the Figure 4 podcast. Until then, my name is Doug. See you next time.